This is 48-hour art check, episode 49. And we have no intro, so we'll just kind of act it out.
I'm really tired.
There's lots of running. Those two guys are 48-hour art check. All right, so let's just get into the meat of it because I know you're probably super exhausted.
Yeah.
You just completed your second day at a con, your first con.
My first con.
So let's breeze through it. So okay, why don't we start off? What did you get done in the last few days? That was a goal.
I set up my booth yesterday, and then I did a full day of the con, and then I did that again today. So yeah, mainly that's been it. They're really kind of long days. Just a second. Hey guys. Okay, sorry for the background noise. They're just gonna be loud.
That's okay.
So yeah, I just did 2 days of the con. It was good. I don't really know what to expect, but it was I haven't sold a ton, but then my ideas of grandeur of like keeping track of my inventory, that went out the window really fast.
Oh really?
Yeah, I mean I don't have anybody at the booth to like help me out, and so like marking stuff down, talking to people, packaging stuff up, taking money, running cards, and something had to give. So I don't really have a clue how much I've sold, but it doesn't seem like that much. So, but the cool thing is I've had upwards of like over 60 or 70 people join my email list, which is pretty cool. And my stuff, definitely kind of like a niche acquired taste compared to what everybody is kind of expecting at that show, because like you get your pop culture, your fan art, your kind of mashups and that type of stuff. And I've got a little bit of fan art, but mostly it's like original stuff. And so the cool thing is that there isn't a lot of people that stop, but the people that do stop are pretty cool to talk to. They're thinkers and they're kind of excited about their kind of high concept ideas and whatever.
Yeah.
So it's been good. Yeah, it's been pretty good.
That's awesome. So it's interesting that you were talking about kind of the checklist flying out the window, and I think that's I've had that experience too, because and like why I was even saying we should make this brief, because you probably are pretty exhausted, is there's this you're on like the whole time.
Right. Yeah.
And you're trying to be engaged and present, and you're having to be so engaged and present with the people that stop by your booth that by the time the day's up, you don't even realize, like, really, until like that, they close the doors, that you've like been putting yourself out. Like, right. It's kind of like this weird, socially exhausting experience, but it's also exciting.
Yeah.
So I think that's really cool. I'll be interested in knowing how you did, because I suspect you might be doing better than you realize.
Maybe.
Because it did sound like you said you were running cards and making transactions. So like that sounds like there was some kind of exchange going on.
Yeah. I'm definitely selling stuff, but I mean, it seems like there's a lot of time that'll go by in between people stopping. But yeah, I mean, there's a ton of traffic. Lots of people are there, and I don't know. It's been cool, and I mean, the cool part about it is I think like Thursday is a weird day to have a con, right? Because it's like in the middle of the week.
Definitely.
And so they lowered the ticket price to like $15, and I think like the normal price is upwards of 50 plus or something. And so the people that just were there on Thursday, I mean, like the show was dead from a sales standpoint all day. Lots of traffic, lots of people talking and looking, no one really buying anything. And then the last 2 hours, like everybody came back and bought. And so I think they were just kind of like seeing what was there.
Yeah.
Kind of expecting some momentum from that. But today seemed to be another like big looking day. I started talking to people who had been to this show a lot. And they say kind of Friday's kind of dead. because anybody that's there on Friday is also going to be there on Saturday.
Yeah.
And so, so I mean, I'm still selling stuff, and it was still good. The main thing is, like, I'm meeting cool people. People are excited. Like, I'm not like begging people to get on my email list. Like,
Yeah.
a big thing is, I forgot to bring cards. Like, I brought business cards for like business contacts that has like my personal cell phone number and stuff. So I'm not handing those out to the public. But I forgot to bring like, here's my social media and website. Like, I didn't.
Yeah.
That never occurred to me or whatever for some reason. So, like, everybody that comes by my booth that doesn't buy something is like, dude, I love this stuff, but I'll probably have to grab it later, or I really want to see what you're doing with this book or whatever. And then like, hey, do you have a card? So at first I was cutting out these little tiny pieces of paper, like 1 inch by 1 inch, and I'd like write my, and then I was like, that's dumb. So then I was like, I'm all out. Like, it didn't end up in the box that I packed. And I said, but I got an email list, and I'll email everybody at the end of the show. And if you want to, like, stick around, I'm going to just email like once a month at most. And they're all like, yeah, sure. And like, I've only had maybe 2 or 3 people out of the 70 that have jumped on. 2 or 3 people that I've asked that go like, no, that's cool. And I'm like, oh yeah, cool. No pressure.
Yeah.
Most people there are like pretty excited, and even a couple of them were like, yeah, man, I like getting emailed cool things. This would be great. So that's kind of encouraging.
No, it's super awesome, and actually a good reminder too that like at shows it's a really good opportunity to like hand out all your info.
Yeah.
Because one of the biggest benefits, at least when I was freelancing, like now it'll be interesting because I'm not really looking for that. And I think we're both in a very similar position where we're kind of looking to hustle our own stuff. But I do remember that being one of the biggest things coming out of shows was you'd make contacts and you get, jobs from people that stop by your booth and are pretty legit. And they'd like email you from the info they got, later on being like, oh, I want to hire you for this crazy project you would have never had access to before.
Right. Yeah.
So it is a good opportunity to kind of build that list and those contacts and stuff. And some of those contacts really last for a really long time. Like I through one of my convention experiences, I met like an editor that's a pretty big time editor and is still apparently in contact with me, and added me on Facebook and stuff, and is like, available to kind of give feedback and stuff. And that's a huge,
Yeah.
Thing. And that kind of thing is just tenfold like my experience at conventions. That's how I met Kevin Cross too. We actually met at a show. So
Yeah,
we were boothing next to each other, and kind of at the time we were a little more snarky. So we were making fun of some of the stuff at the Zine Fest, and we had similar tastes and similar sense of humor. So, but yeah, I mean, it's like there's been a lot of positivity about conventions, and yet every time I have to do one, I feel anxiety. So, so that's cool. I'm glad you're doing it, and your booth looks really good. The photos of it look really good. So
Thanks.
I think should I pull those up? Would that be easier? I think
Yeah.
that might be good.
If you
So
pull
let me
while you talk, I think it will show it on the screen.
let me give it a shot real quick. So tell me more about the convention while I'm pulling these photos.
Yeah. So real quick story. I printed like just 10 really kind of cheap copies of the Tongue Cut Sparrow book that I finished. Just in case I bumped into anybody. And one thing I love about YouTube versus other forms of media is what people look like, right? And so Will Terry, who's like a huge like blogger and children's book illustrator, good friends with Jake Parker, does the 3 Point Perspective podcast and stuff. Like, he walked by, like I think he was going to the bathroom or something, and I recognized him. So I was like, "Hey, Will Terry," and he stopped. And he was a super cool guy. Like, he didn't have to, but he like spent a couple minutes talking to me. And anyway, I just said, "Hey, man, I'm a fan. Like, I listen to 3 Point Perspective podcast, and I watch your YouTube show." I said, "Can I give you a book?" And he was like, "Yeah, sure." And he didn't just like take it and walk away. Like, he took it and like he flipped through quite a few pages and commented on the art and stuff, and commented about how he was raised on Japanese fairy tales. Like his parents used to tell him Japanese fairy tales. It was
That's
really cool. It
awesome.
was good conversation. He's a like in person is also a very cool guy. Real nice and down to earth. So that was kind of the highlight. That was pretty cool.
That is massive. That's very cool.
Yeah.
I'm still getting these things open. So let me see. For some reason, screen share is being a pain in the butt. So, here we go. Okay. So I think you guys can kind of see this.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's like Cory's booth setup, and I just think it's pretty incredible. It looks pretty good. It's like you've got a variety of different print sizes, different price points. Looks super professional. It's like the signage reads really easily. To me, it's just a really nice booth. I like that you put the grate thing that you're hanging the prints on. I like that you kind of did it tabletop.
Yeah.
I think that's a really neat solution because I see it a lot of the times where people put them behind their table, and it can be kind of awkward for a consumer to come by and kind of check them out. So it looks like a really well set up thing. And I think the cool thing about the way the work you put into it and stuff is that, let's say, like, worst case scenario, the sales don't end up all that great like this first time. I don't think it's your booth, like, so,
Yeah.
like that's the beauty of it is like at this point, looking at your booth, it doesn't look like there's a lot you could have done better with presentation. So, so really, I think, I mean, it looks like you're giving yourself the best shot to do the best you can, which is great. So, that's a really nice, like, really nice looking booth for like a first time booth. That's insane.
Thanks.
Yeah. So, okay. Well, let me see if I can kind of pull my stuff up real quick. So I guess what I've worked on is that nightmare page, and I've just been kind of gradually carving away at that and stuff, and I'm trying to kind of pull it up. So since Cory is abroad right now, we're having to do this through Hangouts, so it's a little more complicated. But so right now I'm doing the tight pencils, and the area that you're seeing, like I guess like the top left corner, or I guess the bottom left corner of those little squares of images, that row should be finished by the end of tonight. So that's kind of my goal. But I'm the nice thing is the tight pencils go a lot quicker than the rough because all the structure is there. So it's just about kind of adjusting and kind of clarifying some stuff and fixing some crappy anatomy or whatever, And so I'm actually pretty happy with how this page is coming. So yeah, so that's what I got done. So let's get into challenges. Like what kind of challenges are you kind of facing? Like, I mean, especially considering it's your first convention, like what kind of challenges have you kind of experienced so far?
Yeah, so I mentioned forgetting to bring something to hand out. Like I'd even planned on doing that. Talking to Scott Circlin, and Gaz, they both mentioned like have like a giveaway, and I really intended to, but completely forgot. One big challenge is this, like my stuff is kind of a thinker. It's not like an immediate like it's not Superman or Spider-Man or Wonder Woman. And so actually one of the things that I started doing in between like talking to people is I started drawing bookmarks. And so I was trying to think of like the most fan art thing I could do. And so I started drawing like Rick and Morty cosplaying as Wonder Woman, or Goku cosplaying as Rick. And so like I started just doing these really weird mashups and stuff, and then just handing them out for free because I don't have cards. So anyway, it was all just kind of around the thing, and then just doing it by yourself without somebody at the booth is really hard because like I had several people come up and say, like, I would go to the bathroom for like 7 minutes, you know, like as quick as I could, run across the hall and come back. And like an hour later, somebody would come by and be like, "Oh, dude, I came by and you weren't here." And I'm like, "Seriously, I've been sitting in that chair for 10 hours, and you pick like the 10 minutes where I wasn't there."
Yeah.
So not having somebody there is hard. That's pretty much it. That that I'm going through cough drops like there's no tomorrow because I've got like a sore throat. And I woke up this morning and I couldn't speak.
Oh no.
And so luckily my voice started coming back. But I think it was just a combination of like a little bit of a sore throat plus sleeping, you know, just kind of whatever. But
Well,
yeah,
and talking to people all day is like, you know,
right.
not going to be easy on that throat either.
Yeah, yeah, and like I've got pretty cool neighbors on either side of my booth. I did have to have kind of a conversation with one of them, just to ask if he could like adjust the way he was doing things, because it was kind of negatively impacting traffic in my booth. And I was a little worried about that conversation, but it turned out fine, and they were super cool about it and kind of rearranged the way that they were doing things, which is helpful. So, and they're still getting plenty of sales off of their book, and I'm getting more traffic because before he not intentionally, but he was kind of stopping people in front of my booth and then talking across my booth to them, so like nobody could really see what I was doing. So I just asked him, I was like, "Hey, do you mind switching spots with your wife so that you stop them in your booth rather than in my booth?" And he was like, "Oh yeah, man, I'm so sorry. I'll totally do that." And so that
Yeah.
was a lot better. Yeah.
Yeah, that actually touches on something really good. And I think when you're back, maybe we can do like a full, you know, art check, like kind of topic based on that, where, you know, but convention etiquette is like a weird kind of learned thing for some
Right.
people.
Yeah.
And I think there is this thing that happens to a lot of people, especially when it's like their first time or close to their first time, maybe their third time doing a con, where they get you do get a little bit of a rush. Like I get it when I'm conventioning, just talking to people, it kind of sparks all these endorphins and stuff. And so you're in a weird way, you're kind of a little high, like when you're doing it, because you're in this state of mind where you have to be on all the time.
Right.
And some people, unfortunately, I think it causes them to get like super excited and kind of overdo it.
Right.
And they can be pretty rude to their convention neighbors. And then there are some people who are just straight up rude. Right. And kind of crazy with that. And if you confront them, they might like be like, "Well, I'm going to start talking to people right in front of your booth," you know?
Right.
So it's good that your experience was like the latter, and was probably just somebody who was like completely unaware and probably just excited to have people there to talk to about his work. Yeah, and that's generally the case. Like, and I've had to do that. I've had to have that conversation a bunch to people because, you know, it's a weird thing about human nature, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And these guys are great. They're great neighbors, and they're super nice, and they watched my table while I was gone, you know, things like that.
That's awesome.
I think confronting is in this situation probably the wrong terminology, because it was really just I said, you know, I said, "Oh, hey, would you mind helping me out?" And so it wasn't like I was confronting, you know, it was more like, you know, and so I think it was good, you know, I mean, because I could have been like, "Hey, jerk," you know, but yeah, so I think, you know, I could see, I mean, crazy's crazy, and sometimes there's nothing you can do.
Yeah, like
if everybody
the example of the crazy is like one of the last conventions I did. This guy actually had a bunch of science projects on their table, and they were like complete carnival barker, and they were obnoxious, so they'd actually like scare away customers,
right?
Because people were just like, "Dude, I don't want to buy this guy's product. He's like a used car salesman," you know?
Yeah.
And that would just negatively affect my booth, because they were like literally like right in front of our booth. So it's like people would be talking to us, and then this guy's, you know, like, "I'm gonna make this volcano work," and like it's like gimmicky stuff, and he'd like go up to people in front of my booth and be like, dude, have a flyer, have a like, just hand them stuff. And it was such a hard sell that, like, I think a good sign of somebody doing a poor job with, because there's effective hard sales too, but an ineffective hard sell is when you're like literally shoving free stuff in front of someone and they're like, dude, just no, like, back off, like, I really don't want what you're giving me. And so I think it's cool that that wasn't the case, because like most of the time, like what you've just described is the experience where it's like just a conversation, because it's like, like he was like, in this case, it just sounds like he just wasn't aware and was like, oh, that sucks, I'm sorry, dude. Right. And it's adjusted. And yeah, so that's an interesting experience though, and it's cool you're having it, because you're learning to navigate, which is rad. So all right, let's so my challenges, it's just we're still kind of crazy at work, and I'm gonna have to go to Cleveland for like 2 days next week, and just kind of juggling like rush seasons and trying to get catalogs in and stuff like that at my work on top of my art has been a real challenge. The one encouraging thing is like, and I don't know if you get this, I get this all the time. I get this like weird creeping self-doubt that kind of comes in every once in a while. It's like every month or something. There's like 1 week. And this happens to me all the time. I think it's a pretty normal thing, but it's like I'll hang out with a bunch of creators I admire, and then like a day later, I'll be like, well, that was just a fluke. And it's imposter syndrome, pretty much. That was a fluke. They'll figure out like that I wasn't worth hanging out with, like, yeah. And so, but then like there's these weird validating moments that are like, remind me that that's a stupid thought, and I've had a few of those this week where it's like people I've reached out to where they didn't get back to me, and I instantly was like, well, they just think I'm a loser or something like that. And then, inevitably they were just like, oh, dude, I've just been super busy. Like, of course, we want to hang out. Of course, we want to do this thing. Yeah. And so like that kind of has been encouraging. Like when I've been having struggles to get my art done, that, like that's also come in the realm of just like some people that I really admire, like paying attention to my work out of nowhere. And that's kind of cool, where it's like, I've been posting these things. Usually I'll get like a like or two from like, the hardcore supporters and the like family or friends. Mm-hmm. And, but then every once in a while you get this like from somebody, you're like, whoa, but that's like that's a person I really want to like from. That's cool. So that's been really encouraging, to, because like we're making these things in a vacuum half the time. So it's nice to like know that that vacuum is occasionally having little escape holes that, things come out of. So yeah. And then like I got really hooked on Ozark, which is a really well-written show on Netflix. So that was a challenge too, but still managing to hit my time and get my comics done.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So what are your plans? I mean, obviously you're in the thick of it. You're going to have, I will say this, like my most successful days at conventions were usually the last. It doesn't mean it will go that way for you, but for me, that's always my favorite day, because most people kind of, myself included, if I go to a con, I spend the first few days just kind of checking everything out. Yeah. And it's that last day that you've really like assessed everything, where you're like, okay, I'm going to give these people my money and these people my money, Mm-hmm. And my experience has been that like sales usually pick up and definitely stay set up to like the last minute, because some of the times like I'll have a dead show and like the last hour literally like make table plus, so yeah, but your day could go different. It's different for everybody, but I'm excited for you. I think it'll go well.
Yeah, I'm that's kind of my plan, is just to finish it up. And that's what everybody's been saying. Even the people that are coming by the booth, is they're like, yeah, today I'm just looking, tomorrow's my buying day. And so even like the convention goers are like, like audibly expressing that. So that's kind of my expectation. I mean, how much that is, whether I sell, one sticker to 20 people, which would be, not much money, or, whether I'm moving a ton of product, I don't know. But um, yeah, it'll be something. And I mean, for me, the biggest thing at this point, I doubt I'm going to break even, which is fine. Like I kind of knew going into it, it's new. I'm, not hitting what I want to, or what a lot of people are there for. But the cool thing is that I really feel like I'm connecting with like the niche that would be into my stuff. And
Yeah.
so if I do another day like I had the last 2 days, I mean, I'll have from having no email list, I'll have like 120 people that are pretty excited about what I'm doing, which is cool. So
Yeah, and that's one of those things that like is the weird kind of unseen thing with conventions where there's a much later reward, and so it's very much like doing the legwork of marketing
mm-hmm.
for a company. It's like you can go to a company event, and like companies don't go to these big conventions to make all their sales at that convention. They go to that convention to do branding, to make connections, to establish relationships, so that later they have real customers, and that's actually well, this saying, but it's like this is more for like viewers and stuff. But there's this old saying in sales where it's like it's really you can pretty much sell anything once,
Right.
But getting a return customer, that's having a business,
Right.
because a short sell is like a pretty easy thing to do if you're good with words. Um, but the long sell, the like the relationship, like having somebody commit and get on a mailing list and eventually maybe do those bigger purchases that you're kind of hoping for as a creator, like that kind of thing, that all starts with the legwork you're doing now, so that's huge, and that's kind of invaluable.
Yeah.
So and it's great at a convention because it's like it's not like AdSense where you're just kind of sitting around and blindly hoping people show up, and you don't really know, like you can kind of target market, but you're not really sure. Whereas like one-on-one, when you're meeting a person, it's like you can feel that connection. So
Yeah.
so that's huge. That's cool. So I do want to do a further wrap up and stuff, like, or of your convention, like when you're back.
Yeah.
But I am curious, like what's selling really well, like what's doing well. You said something like about specific posters are doing pretty well.
Yeah. I sold through. Actually, I drew this on the Artcasters forever ago, but I sold through everything that I brought from my Leia the Hut Slayer when Leia's choking out Jabba. And then I've been selling quite a few of the horsemen, the four what am I? Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse. I have four Horsemen of the Apocalypse as bikers. Those are selling pretty well as postcards and as stickers. The coolest thing though is like I have those bombshell pinups that I was doing, and I've got 5 of those, and like between Leia and the bombshells, like everybody that walks by is like, "Hey, look!" They'll like grab their friend, and most people will like, shout out to me like, "Oh yeah, she's the bomb," or "Hey, bombshells," or "Hey, look, it's a pinup," and they're like
Mm-hmm.
kind of getting it really fast. Um, and it's been funny. I've even had like a couple moms like explain it to their young kids. They're like, "Oh yeah, like an attractive woman is called a bombshell, and so that's why he did that." Like it's like this little thing. But those are the mostly what's been doing well. The cool ones though are when you get somebody who like really likes the message of the ones that I did for Sticker Stint, and I've sat there for like 10 or 15 minutes with a few people, and we just like have these really cool conversations about like the stickers that they're buying, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I totally dig that." And I thought it meant this, and I always tell them like, "Hey, it means whatever you want." I mean, I was kind of going for something, but it's up to everybody's interpretation, and so that's been really fun. Like as
That
far as
is awesome.
yeah,
And I think like that's the thing is like you're gonna connect with people and kind of those people that you've sold stickers to and stuff. Hopefully they sign your mailing list too, you know.
Yeah.
And like, so that's like I don't know. I'm excited to see, like, once you've gotten back and you've kind of been able to assess it and stuff. I think it'll be interesting to hear your perspective. In the meantime, just keep momentum and energy and truck through it, man. It's your booth looks great. Yeah, my plan is to, I think by the next Artcasters, I should have this, the rough, not the rough, but the tight pencils done and be on to inking this sucker. So
Cool.
I'm looking forward to that because I think like each step is going to take less time. So weirdly enough, I think even the inking will take less time than the tight pencils. Right. So like for me, the most laborious phase, especially on a page like this with a lot of drawing, is just the drawing. And then everything else, even tightening the drawing, is maybe it does take equal time. It just feels like less time. So yeah. Cool. So, okay. So if people are in the Salt Lake area or in the Utah area and they're stopping by the con, where should they go? Like, what's your booth number again?
Yeah. So it's at the Salt Palace and it's FanX. And my booth number is TE 33. So look for Teal 33. And I have one, you've seen it, one big thing. It's about 12 feet tall. That is just one big kind of pillar. You can kind of see that from the aisle. So at the main doors, as you walk in, I'm on the left. Go back a few rows and I'm on the left. You'll see like the yellow tablecloth and stuff.
Nice.
TE 33. So yeah, drop by. And if you know me from 48 Hour Art Check or whatever, I'll give you a free sticker.
There you go, right there. So you can get a free sticker, which are awesome stickers. They're like die cut to the, anyhow, check them out. All right. Well, so I guess that'll probably do it. We'll wrap it. Cause I know you have some rest to get so that you've got energy tomorrow and, all that fun stuff. So, we'll just wrap it. So you can check out, my stuff by going to quarterlystories.com. And you can also go to tapas.io, which should be updating tonight because I had another chaotic week and just sort of lost touch with doing my update on Wednesday. So I'll be doing that tonight. So tomorrow morning, if you're watching this, tapas.io, look for Quarterly Stories and you can read the next page. And you can check out Cory's work by going to corykerr.com. And he's also, just search for Cory Kerr on the YouTubes. He's got a great YouTube channel, and obviously you probably know that if you're on my channel because we alternate this thing all the time. But yeah, also definitely sign up for the mailing list, Cory's mailing list, because he's got like a giveaway going on. And it's a really good giveaway. It's a good opportunity. He's going to give away about $100 worth of art merchandise and awesome swag and stuff with his art, really cool art, for free. Just sign up for the mailing list, and the quicker you do it, probably the better your odds, I'd guess, because at some point that giveaway is going to happen. And if you're on the list, you're eligible.
Well, I drew names last night, and I'm about to draw names again, and then I'll draw names tomorrow night. So if you get on in the next couple minutes, you might be on there before I draw names.
There you go. Get in there before the reaping. All right, and then I guess the band at well, you didn't hear the band at the intro, so never mind that. So that'll do it, and we will see you guys in a couple days when we do our next art check. Yeah.
See ya.
Bye.